sake of sanitation.
In the embrace of familial warmth, Anita Chen celebrates with a cake, not for her birthday, but to mark her victory. It's an election watch party on Super Tuesday night. Chen has just confirmed that she secured a spot on the ballot for the general election in California's 17th congressional district. It's not a definitive victory. Ro Khanna, the incumbent U.S. representative since 2018, leads in this district with over 30% more votes than Chen. Still, Chen and her team celebrate as if they've already won the race. Despite no prior political experience, Anita Chen, 26, has made it to the general election as a Republican candidate in a blue state. While winning is a challenge, Chen is determined to fight for her chance. Her goal? To be a voice of the voiceless.
I didn't choose to run because the numbers told me that I would win. I didn't choose to run, be a role model, or make a name for myself. It was just that I felt there was a story that needed to be told.
Chen has dedicated herself to empowering voiceless individuals for a decade, but not through politics. She is an English teacher while pursuing her PhD in educational technology at Liberty University. Many of her students come from immigrant families, mirroring her own background as a second-generation Chinese American.
My parents were not born in this country. They're from Taiwan. They immigrated to the United States to study. Even though I was fluent in speaking English, in the home we spoke a lot of Mandarin. So my writing skills and my formal speaking skills were not up to par. And I remember being 12 when my mom realized how much of a problem it was, and I just remember feeling really scared in that moment because it felt like the American dream that they had come for was about to fall apart in my hands.
Chen overcomes the challenge with the help of a teacher. Years later, she decides to become a teacher herself to assist children with similar backgrounds facing similar difficulties.
I have been happily running that English writing business for the last 10 years, and that's how I thought perhaps I could make my mark on the world, to remind my students that their voice matters and that they can bring impact with their ideas.
Chen even surprises herself when she makes the decision to run for Congress.
And I was very shocked because to go from a political nobody to run for Congress is a huge leap. It's like jumping to the moon.
It is a movie that sparks Chen's interest in politics. Last summer, Chen watched a movie called Sound of Freedom, which talks about human trafficking in the U.S.
At the very end of the movie, there's a scene where it says that the United States is one of the largest destinations for child trafficking. And I just remember sitting in my seat, it's pitch black and these words are white across the screen. And I just thought, how can this be? How can it be in the country that I love, land of the free, home of the brave, the country that my parents chose to move to, we have some of the highest rates of child trafficking in the world. And in that moment, I knew that my life had to shift, that I couldn't go on living my comfortable life, and I had to do something to speak out on their behalf.
Several days later, Chen decided to run for Congress. Human trafficking doesn't seem to be happening in the everyday lives of ordinary people. Unlike Chen, most Republican candidates prefer to concentrate on their agendas concerning economics and street crimes, which are more commonly encountered in daily life. Some voters therefore say that Chen's campaign agenda is weak and idealistic.
I would not have gotten to the campaign with just kitchen table issues because I think that's what we all care about, and there are plenty of people raising that voice. For me, I wanted to create a unique contribution to the trafficking survivors because for so long their voices have been ignored in the justice system.
She utilizes her research skills as a PhD candidate to delve deep into the issue of human trafficking.
I entered this fight with many angles. At first, it was to stand on behalf of those who are being trafficked and understanding that when Congress doesn't do its job well, the people that hurt the most are the most vulnerable. And from that angle, as well as wanting to stand for our constituency, to say we have to fight the economy, we have to fight for our border, we have to fight for public safety and community safety because there's so much on the line. There's so much on the line.
Since officially launching her campaign last September, Chen has spared no efforts in setting up town hall meetings, campaign rallies, and fundraising events. She listens to and speaks with people from various communities, not only human trafficking survivors.
As I've continued in the campaign, I've met so many people who feel voiceless. Parents, students, small business owners, seniors, they feel voiceless. Who will speak for them? And my commitment remains the same, to speak for them.
It's not the first time that Chen envisions herself becoming a political figure.
I remember being 12 and imagining myself one day as the Secretary of State or the ambassador to the UN on behalf of the United States, but I didn't think that it was possible for an Asian American like me to make it in politics.
Chen's parents have never envisioned their eldest daughter becoming a politician. The only career idea that crossed Malcolm Chen's mind for his daughter when she was young was to become a figure skater, inspired by Michelle Guan, a retired competitive figure skater. Politics isn't a typical career path that Asian American families actively choose. Instead, fields like computer science, engineering, medicine, and law are much more commonly pursued among AAPI individuals. During the primary debate, Anita Chen says she runs for office because she doesn't want to stay silent anymore.
I will say that upon reflection, there is an immigrant mentality that in order to survive, we need to stay quiet. And that's legitimate, and it's a real part of how we feel. But I say that my experience and my life circumstances are different than my parents, and I have the honor to be able to thrive in this society. And so to shift from a surviving mentality to a thriving mentality requires that shift of being willing to speak for ourselves and to speak for others.
After making up her mind to delve deep into politics, Chen's first call is to Peter Guo, the former vice chairman of the California's Republican Party. Guo says when he learns Chen's reason to run for Congress, he tells her that she needs to be very, very sure that she really wants to do it.
I was terrified, but I was sure.
People around her, even those who are not fans of her, applaud Chen for her courage in running for office as a political outsider. However, fear has haunted Chen since her first campaign speech.
It was very intimidating, to be honest. My very first speech, I told the audience I'm terrified, but there's something greater and deeper inside me that tells me that I must speak out on behalf of those who can't speak for themselves. There was a sense of determination that I can't let fear prevent me from telling the stories that need to be told.
Yet, when she hears disparaging comments, Chen can't help but cry. It's the first tear she sheds during the campaign, just a week until Super Tuesday. Chen has never gone after other candidates. Instead, she focuses solely on her own agendas. When talking about the general election of her race, she still says that
it's also possible to choose between two great candidates.
Richard Friesen, Chen's speech coach, says his next training task is to prepare her to face brutality.
In the political arena, it's brutal. Most candidates do not have a sense of how brutal this is. One of the things to prepare for is that level of brutality. And if you can't handle that, it's going to be rough.
Guo recalls facing numerous defamations, like being labeled a Chinese spy when he ran for the same seat years ago. He advises Chen to avoid playing the card of identity politics, despite being a member of the AAPI community.
She's not running as a Chinese American. She's not running as a Taiwanese American. She's running as an American to represent all of us. When she gets elected to Congress, she's there to serve everyone, not just Chinese American or Vietnamese American, for example.
For Chen, winning second place in the primary election is not a surprise, but beating her opponent in the general election poses considerable challenges. The incumbent, Representative Joe Kana, has extensive political experience, including serving as the Deputy Assistant Secretary of the United States Department of Commerce during the Obama administration. Walking through the journey, Chen says nothing is as scary as it seemed.
The whole journey so far I see as a gift, and the way that I like to think about gifts is holding it with open hands. So when I have a gift, I want to share it with people around me, and when the gift is no longer there, I'm grateful for the time that it was.
I'm Ping Ping Yin in San Jose, California for Yuan Media.